Attention, Commanders fans. Get ready, because what's happening in Washington is going to blow your mind. Are you ready for what's coming? The team is gearing up for a crucial showdown against Joe Burrow and the gang. Even though the Bengals haven't won yet, Burrow is more than ready to unleash his firepower on our defense. Will it be enough to stop the Commanders after that stellar performance last week in Kansas City? The team needs to bring their A game to contain Burrow. Stick around until the end to get all the details. But hold on, because if you thought you've heard it all, you're dead wrong. What's going to happen with T. Higgins? Yes, the star receiver from the Bengals who could be the key to a disaster for our defense. His status for the next game will determine if we face a nightmare or if we have a glorious night on Monday Night Football. His presence changes everything. Don't you dare tune out now, because this news is crucial for what's coming this season. And last but definitely not least, the game plan for tonight. Brian Robinson Jr. is ready to tear through the Bengals defense. Our star running back has been the backbone of the offense, and tonight will be no different. Robinson is at the heart of the strategy, but will it be enough? The answers are right here. So hit that subscribe button and give us a like, because what's coming will define whether this season is ours or slips through our fingers. And remember, hail to the Redskins. Let's be real, folks. Here we are, staring down that showdown between the Washington Commanders and the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. And I'm going to tell you this. Who isn't pumped for this game? It's the kind of matchup that defines whether we're contenders or just dreamers. But before you get carried away, listen to what Pete Prisco said. This CBS Sports analyst seems to have already buried us before the whistle even blows. Prisco says, "The Commanders won last week, but the Bengals are coming for everything, and Joe Burrow is going to have a big game." Now I ask you, do you really think we're that far from competing? I'll tell you this, watch out for underestimating us. Yes, the Commanders won last week against the Giants, and it wasn't a pretty win, but a win is a win. And sure, Burrow and the gang are hungry for a victory, but this is football. Nothing is written until that final whistle. Why can't we win? The challenge is clear. Ja'Marr Chase and T. Higgins, two of the best receivers in the league, are going to test our secondary. And I won't lie, our pass defense has been shaky. But I believe in these guys. Last week we showed that even though we're not perfect, we know how to bounce back from mistakes. So if we can contain those beasts on the edges, I'm telling you, we have a real chance to surprise the Bengals in their own house. But of course, here comes the question many are asking. Will it be enough? It's not enough to just play well. We need to play better than last week, and that's the key. If our secondary isn't at 100%, if we can't pressure Burrow, then yes, Prisco might be right. But here's the interesting part. I'm not buying that narrative. We're not just going to stand there and let them steamroll us. We're going to fight for every yard, every pass, every play. Now let me ask you, Commanders Nation, do you think we can keep the Bengals winless this season? Do you think our secondary can stop such an explosive offense? I'm telling you this, if our guys come out with the right mindset, we can surprise more than a few people. But we need everyone to be at their best. There's no room for error. Here we go. Commanders Nation, let's get straight to the point. Today we have a hot Monday Night Football. And the big question is T. Higgins playing tonight against the Commanders? I'll tell you something. Higgins has been out the first 2 weeks of the season dealing with a hamstring injury. And I know what you're thinking. What does this mean for today's game? Look, T. Higgins isn't just any player. Since he entered the league in 2020, this guy has been a constant aerial threat. Over 600 receiving yards as the second option behind Ja'Marr Chase? That's no joke. And just when the Commanders have a chance to start strong this season, the Bengals could unleash this playmaker on the field. Now, does that intimidate you? Because I'm telling you, it doesn't scare me. But let's be real. We know a player like Higgins can make a difference. Here's the important detail. According to Bengals coach Zach Taylor, Higgins feels great. He can go 100%. So unless something unexpected happens, we're going to see him in action tonight. Is this what the Commanders wanted to hear? Probably not. But here's where it gets interesting. How are we going to stop him? Think about it. Higgins returned to practice as a limited participant on Thursday, and by Friday, he was already on the field, showing he's ready to come back. On Saturday, in the final practice before the game, he practiced at 100%. And when he spoke to the press on Friday, he made it clear he's optimistic and ready to dive into this season. "I'm finally ready to roll," he said. That sounds like a threat to any defense, right? But what does this mean for us, the Commanders? Here's where it gets serious. Higgins is the kind of player who can stretch the field and open up opportunities for others. So the question I'm asking is this: can the Commanders' secondary contain him? Because if we let Higgins loose, who's going to stop the rest of the Bengals' offense? This is a problem we need to solve if we want to secure the win. There you have it, Washington Commanders fans. Tonight, the game plan should start and end with Brian Robinson running straight up the middle. There's no other option. And before you question me, let me say this: if the Bengals' defense is already banged up, why not take advantage of it? I ask you, isn't that the most obvious play? The Bengals came in with all the hype this season. Many picked them as favorites to reach the AFC Championship. But what's happening? They're sitting at 0-2 and last in their division. And here's where it gets interesting. Their worst enemy in these first 2 weeks has undoubtedly been the run game. They can't stop the run. And now, to top it off, their 2 starting defensive tackles are dealing with hamstring injuries. It's the perfect time for the Commanders to get aggressive. What does this mean for Washington? It means Brian Robinson. This guy has been a beast, averaging 6 yards per carry, with over 40% of those plays going straight up the middle. And what do we have in front of us? A weakened Cincinnati defensive line. I'll tell you this: if the Commanders don't exploit this hole in the middle of the defense, then what are we doing? We have the perfect opportunity to wear down that defense, keep Burrow off the field, and control the time of possession. Now, let's talk stats. In Week 1, the Patriots rushed for 170 yards against the Bengals, led by Ramondre Stevenson, who ran it 25 times for 120 yards. And that wasn't just a big play here or there. It was a constant, repetitive pounding that the Bengals simply couldn't stop. Then in Week 2, the Chiefs did the same, rushing for 149 yards. Do we see the pattern? It doesn't matter if it's Pacheco or an undrafted rookie like Carson Steele. The Bengals can't stop the run. Look at what happened on the Chiefs' first plays. 38 yards on 6 carries right through the middle of that defensive line. On the first series of the game, with the Bengals' defense still fresh. So what does that tell us? I ask you. Is it possible that the Bengals' defensive line is in trouble? Of course it is. And here's where the key strategy comes in. Keep Joe Burrow off the field. If we can run the ball and control the clock, we limit Cincinnati's opportunities to score. In 2 games, the Bengals have only had 18 offensive drives. 18. And one of those doesn't even count because it was a kneel down to end the half. If we give Burrow only 8 or 9 drives per game instead of the 10 or 12 teams usually get, we're limiting his ability to do damage. So I'm telling you this, tonight the plan is simple. Run, and keep running with Robinson. Let's exploit that gap in the Bengals defense, because if we don't, we're wasting a golden opportunity. There you have it, Commandation. The question is simple. Do you think our team has what it takes to silence the critics and leave Cincinnati with a win? Because after everything we've seen, the opportunities are there. I want to hear from you in the comments. Do we have what it takes? And now I ask you this. Is our defense ready to stop T. Higgins, who's coming back to show his level after missing the first games? This is a big test for our secondary. Do you think we're ready to face this challenge? Let me know your thoughts, because this is a key topic tonight. Finally, I want to hear from you. Will the Commanders take advantage of this opportunity and punish the weakened Cincinnati defense? This is our golden chance, and I want to know what you think. Comment below, because tonight could change everything. And before I go, I want to remind you, Commanders, this is my proposal, a daily video summarizing the most important news about our beloved team. If you find this information useful, I'd appreciate it if you don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Because here we don't just talk football. We live and breathe, Commanders. Join this community that's like family, where every opinion counts. And remember, hail to the Redskins.